The 666 ruler in EU4, a symbolization of a genius in administration, in diplomacy, and in all military matters. The fabled 666 ruler seems to exist exclusively in either other people's campaigns or as your heir before their inevitable hunting trip. But within EU4 there are a lot of modifiers, and 3 modifiers in particular are what we're looking at today: Monarch Admin Skill, Monarch Dip Skill, and Monarch Mill Skill. Can we use those to guarantee ourselves a 666 ruler every time? Well, to see if we can guarantee it, we first need to make sure we're on the same page together on how ruler generation works. When we need a new ruler for a country, the game rolls 6 dice in the background, with each dice being a d4 or a 4-sided dice. However, it's not a true d4, no, it's a d4 minus 1, namely that each dice will produce a result between 0 and 3 with equal probability. That means to get a 6 in a specific stat, assuming no modifiers, you need to roll 2 3s, or on a 0 to 3 scale, you need to roll the maximum amount on both dice, aka you have a 1 in 16 chance to get a 6 in a category. This means that with no modifiers, a ruler has a 1 in 4096 chance of being a 666 on a default roll. But how do things like +1 Monarch Admin modifiers work? Well, you roll your dice and then you just add your modifier. If you get a 4 from your dice, you now have a 5. However, if you roll a 6 and get a +1, you don't get a 7 admin ruler, you get a 6 admin ruler since 6 is the cap. And most crucially, as well as painfully for us, the extra +1 ruler stat just disappears into the void and does not get reassigned to other categories. This unfortunately makes republics and their random candidate bonus ability completely useless for us, since we have no way of guaranteeing that those random points actually go into a category that we already don't have a 6 in, and hence end up wasted. This means that even if we do something stupid like +100 random candidate bonus, in theory, all of those points can all go into mill and we can end up with a 006. It also means that since we can always roll a 0 in any category, we need to stack to +6 in each category. Namely, we need +6 ruler admin, +6 ruler dip, and +6 ruler mill to guarantee the 666. Sounds painful, but with that goal established, we can get theory crafting. But before we do, the more astute viewers among you may have noticed that I actually made this video before. Indeed, this was my first Modifier Stacking video I'd ever done, and since that time, Paradox Interactive has updated EU4 quite a few times, leading to more power creep for me to abuse, and hence I believe justifying this remaster at a minimum, as it were. If you happen to have any other videos, or Modifier Stacking runs to be more precise, that you would like to see me remaster, do be sure to let me know. Otherwise, some quick disclaimers. Standard setup, so no custom nations, I'm uncompatible and achievement compatible. Now, for anyone new here, this is a theoretical limit run, so we will be trying to see what we can achieve with perfect play with perfect RNG. So limitations for us are what is only theoretically possible, not practically possible. And usually within these kind of modifier stacking runs, you kind of end up conquering the world at least 3 times in the process, if not more. It is certainly not a recommendation for your next campaign, unless you happen to have at least 40,000 hours in the game. Right, everything clear? Well, before we do begin in earnest, a like is appreciated if you haven't already, and a subscription would be amazing. Let's see if we can hit 55k subs to commemorate the return of Modifier Stacking, now that I know Paradox won't update the game and ruin my dreams. And yeah, let's get ourselves a counter in the corner, and with that we can begin in the Livonian Order. So, the Livonian Order, a land of Catholic crusaders and a land of really confusing mission trees. This is not helpful, thank you Paradox. However, one of these many missions here that is hidden behind the branching mission tree is going to give you access to reform your government into something different. And the very specific thing that we're looking for here is the Livonian Enlightened Monarchy, which is going to give us +1 in each category. Now, the reason that the Livonian Enlightened Monarchy is also so helpful is unlike other governments such as the Prussian monarchy, which require you to stay Protestant, or other governments that also give you base bonuses, they all tend to require you to, well, actually have a specific culture or religion attached to them. The Livonian Enlightened Monarchy is really enlightened, namely in the sense that once it's unlocked, you can just stay a Livonian Enlightened Monarchy with no requirements based on your culture or religion. So, now that we have become a Livonian Enlightened Monarchy and have +1 in each category, where to next? Well, we need to head over to Hawaii, because we need to go ahead and become Hawaii. Thankfully, becoming Hawaii does not change anything fundamentally for us in terms of our government reforms or even our missions. This is good because the only reason we're in Hawaii is that if we are Hawaii and our religion is animist, we become entitled to a certain event. Namely, the Menehune people is an event that can pop up. This has a 600-month mean time to fire and can only fire once per campaign, which is really not helpful. And with that, we need to go gambling like everyone loves. We could take 5 admin points and move on with our life, or we can gamble on a 5% chance of getting an event or a 95% chance of nothing. In this case, we got nothing, so it's time to gamble again. However, if we did get the 5% chance, so we succeeded our gamble, we'll get this event, Menehune Blessing. We basically confirm that these people are real, and these people give us +1 Monarch admin dip and mill until the end of the game. Thank you very much, Menehune, you're amazing. The best part about the Menehune as well is they also, much like the Livonian Enlightened Monarchy, do not discriminate based on religion or culture, and hence will continue to give you this bonus even if you cease being animist. They exist after all. And with that, we're +2 on every single one of our counters. And we can now move on to Bohemia. Make sure you form Bohemia. See, Bohemia has access to the mission Peace in Europe, which requires you to establish peace in Europe. Sounds pretty difficult, but yeah, just go ahead and do that. If you do get peace in Europe, so have 300 provinces, either part of the HRE or go basically conquer Europe to establish peace in Europe, you'll get access to the mission reward Peace in Europe until the end of the game, giving you not just -5 years of separatism, but also Monarch Dip skill +1. After that, make sure to pick up Manton ideas for the Monarch Mill skill +1, and then go ahead and form the end tag of this campaign, France. See, France has an optional path, so they can either conquer Italy and get some bonuses, or set up basically a March Pope that runs Italy for them. If they do, they'll be able to get a modifier called the Golden March in Italy, which provides +1 Monarch Mill skill towards them. However, you're able to buff this with +5 governing capacity, useless for us, and finally, be able to buff it to +1 Monarch admin as well, meaning that the Golden March modifier will give +1 Monarch admin, as well as +1 Monarch Mill, putting us at a respectable 3-3-4 so far. But we're not done, of course. We are, well, a monarchy, so it's time to keep working on that. Namely, we need to go ahead and become Tengri. No, I'm not kidding, because Tengri has access to Legacy of the Steppe. But since we're looking through our government reforms, let's get those sorted now. Make sure you pick up the Tier 4 Legacy of the Steppe for Monarch Mill skill +1, Dynastic Administration for Monarch Admin skill +1, and of course the Right to Petition for Monarch Dip skill +1. Finally, we can go ahead and grab Court Ideas, which in the finisher have Monarch Diplomatic skill +1. And finally, as Tengri, make sure you go ahead and pick up Confucian as your syncretic religion, and accept Korean as a culture and keep Korean in this province, so you can use the palace here in Korea for +2 Monarch admin skill, giving us a final count of 6-5-5. And unfortunately, this is it. We are stuck with just +6, +5, and +5. Now, some of you may know that Albania gets +1 mill point until the end of the game from their missions. This mission here, to be more specific, End Turkish Rule, which does indeed give you Monarch Mill skill +1. However, Albania cannot be formed, meaning that the only way to obtain this bonus is to actually start the campaign as Albania, meaning that we will not be able to start the game as Livonia, so we can never obtain the Livonian missions, meaning that we can never end up actually stacking this +1 military skill until the end of the game, and unfortunately this one is useless for us because of its requirements. If Albania was formable, this could be fixed. Of course, there are also other temporary bonuses that can get us over the top, the most famous of which would probably be Austria, which has access to +2 Monarch Dip for 30 years as a temporary bonus. However, it's not permanent and hence will not be included here as well. But this still begs the question, when do we not get a 6-6-6 if we have +6, +5, and +5 as our modifiers? We can calculate this by looking at what possible rulers we can get. We can of course get a 6-6-6 ruler, but we can also get a 6-5-5, a 6-6-5, and a 6-5-6. For the 6-5-5, the math is easy. It's a 1 in 256 chance, or a 1 in 16 multiplied by 1 in 16. So far so good. When we're looking at the 6-5-6 or the 6-6-5, well, let's for now consider the 6-5-6. We need the probability that the mill is going to be greater than 0, and the dip is equal to 0, which comes to 15 out of 256. And for the 6-6-5, we need the probability that the dip is going to be greater than 0 and the mill is equal to 0, which is also going to be 15 out of 256. And if we add all three of those, we see that we have a 31 out of 256 chance, or 12.11% chance to two significant figures, of not having a 6-6-6. So insanely enough, we still have a 12.11% chance of not actually getting a 6-6-6 when we roll a ruler with +6, +5, +5 across the stat board. But yeah, 88% of the time, we're going to have a 6-6-6. So to answer the question posed by the start of the video, no, you can't guarantee it, but you can almost get within the Paradox 90% conventional cap of practically being there anyway. With that said though, that is all the time I have for you today. If you again have any specific modifier stacking videos you think are worthy of a remaster, do be sure to let me know down below. But indeed, thank you very much for watching, with a special thank you to all my channel members, especially Ark, Solar, W. Haste, Suleiman, Star72, Lord Zendikar, Nick Fassbender, Nanhatan, Nick Haas, The Awesome Rabbit, Best Pro Gaming, Grabmo Flavia, Connor, Andrea Zalberg, Deki, Sov, Mobkiller, Anthony35, AC Napo, Gloricida, Xerxes, Mr. Coomshock, Yukata, Danray, Private Claw, Jack, and Marvy.